Welcome back to the Birthing Bestie blog, where we talk about real topics pertaining to pregnancy, birth, parenthood, partnerships, business, and just real life. Here on the blog, we don't shy away from talking about the hardships of growing your business or growing your family. Instead, we welcome you with open arms, we validate you, and we are here for you. Today, I'm talking to the doulas, and I want to talk to you guys about securing a backup. Now, in this work, we know that when we take on birth clients and really even postpartum clients, that most of the time that puts us on call 24/7. Now, I know that everybody's business is a little different and you structure your practice however makes the most sense for you. And that means whether you go on call later in pregnancy at 36 weeks, or if you're on call 24/7 from the moment that your client decides to work with you. Regardless, leading into that birthday, we are on our toes, we're on edge, we are ready to join our clients whenever labor may start. Now, there are times in life that we need a backup. It's really important to remember, even if you don't have plans to be out of town or have a conflict, having a solid pool of people that you can rely on for backup for even when life just happens. Whether you have kids that might be sick or home from school unexpectedly, or if you have to run out of town for some expected reason, or maybe even you have plans to go on out of town for a trip. It's really important in this work to have a solid backup and feel really comfortable leaving your clients in the hands of someone that's not you. So what I want to talk about today are ways that you can go about making sure you have that solid backup. Now, I know in a lot of doula communities, generally we're a pretty tight-knit, close community as it is. Now, I know sometimes that doulas may just make a blanket statement call out within a doula community to say, is anyone available for backup? And that is all well and good as long as you really know and trust all of those doulas that you are inviting to throw their name in the hat to be your backup. Now, some things that I think are really important when we are talking about securing backups and selecting people who are truly going to represent you while they are on call for your client is one, making sure you know them. You know them well, that you can speak to not only their work as a doula, but their character. So much of this work that we do within the birth space, yes, has to do with our knowledge on birth, our knowledge on birth, our ability to show up and support people and hold space for people, but a lot of it is relational too. And so that's where the personality piece comes in. It's so important to be sure that you are leaving a client with someone who you feel really confident in just their people skills and that they will be a good pair for that specific client. Obviously, when we secure backups, the goal is never to make sure the backup is the one to attend that birth. But in the off chance that they might be that person to support your client, you want to make sure that you leave your clients in the next best hands if it's not yours. So I think it's really important to really make sure that you can speak to your backup's personality and character. Equally as important to being able to vouch for your backup's character is to be able to speak to their abilities as a doula. Now, what I mean by that isn't necessarily that you know how many births they attended, what certification they went through, and those types of things. What I mean is that if you have a client, for example, who is laboring in the hospital and delivering in the hospital, it's really important that your backup be familiar and comfortable with that space and to be open to serving clients in that space. Same goes for home births. If you have a client who is looking for a specific type of support, maybe at a home birth, maybe at a birth center, it's important for you to just make sure that the doula that you are selecting as your backup feels comfortable and confident in those spaces, wherever those spaces may be. And so while it's really nice to be able to kind of make a blanket statement, group call out within your group of doula community, to see who's available for a potential backup, I think it's really important to take it a step further and make sure, again, that you have that connection with that doula. So I recommend even finding a couple doulas that you click really well with, that you know kind of check the boxes of you can vouch for their personality and their character, and you can vouch for their willingness to serve your client wherever they may be. And keep that group close to you. Ask if they'd be open to being someone that you come to for backup requests. And it can be mutually beneficial as well. If you have a handful of doulas that you know and trust to be able to lean on, whether you're in a pinch or you're planning a backup for months in advance, build the relationships with those doulas. I think it's really important when you find a backup to solidify that with an agreement. And now that doesn't necessarily have to be a written agreement. The business person in me thinks that why not have it in writing? It just makes it that much easier to fall back on and to understand really on paper what you and the other person are agreeing to. But regardless of what the agreement looks like to you, create some sort of agreement with this doula, whether that be we can just support each other when we need backups, or I need to know X amount of time or weeks or months in advance. Maybe that looks like I will pay you to be on call while I am unavailable, X amount of dollars. And if you have to attend the birth, I'll pay you X amount of dollars. Whatever that looks like for you, whatever feels good for you and your business and that doula and their business, set some foundation and some boundaries around what you expect from each other in playing this backup role. It makes it not only worth their time, but kind of goes back to being able to really lean on these people. If you have an agreement in place, there's no questions, there's less room for miscommunication or errors or something that might happen with your client when you are away and you're relying on your backup. So make sure that you solidify some sort of agreement, verbal or otherwise, to really make sure that you're setting the foundation for not only your client, but also for yourself and your business and this doula that's going to represent you if you can't be there. And another thing to consider when you are solidifying having a backup work for you in your place, again, whether that be on an on-call basis or actually attending the birth, it is so important to be transparent with your clients about that. Now, again, whether you are going on a planned trip or an emergency comes up, it's really important to have that open communication with your client to let them know, I have a backup in place. If you'd like to meet them ahead of time, please feel free. Of course, with emergencies, you can't necessarily plan it like that, but being upfront and clear and transparent with your clients goes a really long way. Let them know what to expect. And when you check those boxes 1 and 2 of knowing their character and their doula skill set, you can speak that with your client, and that gives them so much peace of mind and puts them at ease, because obviously they hired you to be their doula. But of course, life comes up and it makes you look very professional and having those people set in place if and when something comes up. So remember to have these conversations with your client ahead of time, of course, if you can, but in the moment, if it's an emergency situation, let them know, this is so-and-so. I've known them for this many years. They're a great listener. They're a wonderful doula. They've been to this hospital, your hospital, or worked with your care provider before. You are in excellent hands. So being able to have those conversations with your client can really help ease their mind, instill that confidence, and make them feel really comfortable with whoever is at their birth if it cannot be you. All right, doula, so I want to know, do you have select people as your backup? How do you go about securing backups? Do you have an agreement in place? Let me know what your process is and what things are really important to you when you're looking for a backup to represent you when you can't be there. As always, you can let me know here in the comments below. Reach out to me on Instagram at ebbirthing or send me an email at ebbirthing@gmail.com. Let's all learn together and learn from each other so we can make the birth world a better place for ourselves as people running businesses and for our clients in the birth community as a whole. All right, doulas, until next time.